whatever your calling is. No one's asking you to be a martyr for that. We need you to live and live well. We're all willing to die for our kids, die for our business, die for our family, but will you live healthy for it?
Introducing The Vixen Voice, a podcast for ambitious women entrepreneurs ready to move into their feminine essence, live their truth, and unlock their full potential. I'm your host, April Roberts, and each week I'll be interviewing inspiring women who decided to take a leap of faith to pursue their dream. Women who believe that they were born for something bigger. Hey there, just popping in quickly. It's April Roberts, and I wanted to thank you for being a loyal listener of the Vixen Voice. It means so much to me. And because of that, we're going to be popping in these little announcements because I want you to be the first to know what's going on at the Vixen Gathering. So if you haven't done so yet, click the link below and check out the Vixen Founders Collective. The members who are already in are raving, and we would love to have you join us in the ultimate business consulting, networking, and personal growth community for Gen X female founders. See you there. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the Vixen Voice. Boy, do we have one for you today. We are talking about all things mind, body, and energy and self-care. And the two ladies joining me have tons of energy. So today is going to be super fun. Listen to this episode whenever you need a little jolt, because maybe you're dragging in the day. Keep it as your favorites. And we're going to dig in today and be talking about how a healthier body and mind really impacts your business. You know, if you listen to me a lot, I always say that entrepreneurship outside of spiritual growth is the fastest way to personal growth. Becoming an entrepreneur, leading a team, you really grow quickly. And I also love talking about how your energy, your time, and your confidence are the key assets of your business. So we have two experts in that arena joining us today. They're going to be sharing their story and also giving you great tips on how you can boost your mind, body, soul, and your energy. Our guests today are Mak Quist, who helps women over 40, I love this, reset their habits, recharge their body, and renew their mind. She's a wellness coach and a motivational speaker and the best-selling author of Become Empowered. So love that. As you know, we always share all our guest information in the notes. And if you haven't, go to vixengathering.com/podcast and subscribe so that you can find these amazing women ASAP. And our second guest today is Cassandra Juniphant. She is the founder of Oriara, a self-care company dedicated to reviving traditional wellness. I can't wait to hear about this. Aren't you intrigued? So she revives traditional wellness practices for today's modern woman. And boy, is she busy. She has 2 blogs we'll dig in today and a book coming out soon. So ladies, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So glad to have you. So Cassandra, if you don't mind, I'm going to start with you. And first of all, if I mispronounce the name of your company, go ahead and correct me now. We'll dive in there.
It was perfect. It was perfect.
Perfect. And then the next thing is, you know, both of you work with women and you work with women in very challenging situations. We're very emotional about our body, our self-care, etc. As I work with them on their money, so I get that emotional standpoint. And, you know, one thing I've realized is how beautiful all women are. Like, we're very multidimensional and different because of our past that have led us to where we are. And this is really the foundation for the Vixen Voice. So Cassandra, if it's okay with you, I'd like to start with you. I'd love to hear, you know, I read your beautiful bio, but I'd love to hear maybe a pivotal story that really helped carve this like powerful, impactful woman sitting here with us today.
Wow. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for having me on the show, first of all. I'm really happy and thrilled to be here. Well, I started my fitness journey at the same time that I started my spiritual journey on the heels of a divorce. And it became really clear to me on my fitness journey that they're intertwined, that our spirituality and our body are all in one. And I remember one day in the gym competing. I used to be a bodybuilder. I was a bodybuilder for 5 years. And I remember getting ready for one of my first shows. I was in the gym at peak week, which is when you are right before you're going to hit the stage. You're intentionally dehydrated. You're not really eating very many carbs. You're tired, cranky, all of the things. I was trying to get through a workout, and Spirit said to me loud and clear, "This is what we came for." And I got an instant download, and I was immediately clear that having a body, that the gasping in my lungs, that to catch my breath during that workout was a beautiful thing because Spirit got to experience that. The connection and the ache in my muscles was a beautiful thing because Spirit was experiencing muscles. All the sweat on my body was a beautiful thing because Spirit got to experience sweat. And I fell in love with all things about the body. So I ended up not just competing to become a certified personal trainer, yogi, owned a gym, all of the things, but I did all of those things alongside my career in human resources as an HR executive and single mother. And when I look back on that time, and actually what was immediately clear to me was that the health of my body was what enabled me to have the energy, the ambition, the inspiration, the endless energy, to continue to keep going. And so while a lot of journeys go like this, my corporate career kind of went like this as a result. It was a pretty straight climb financially, title wise, accolades, all the things. And I know that I can draw a direct correlation and causation to the health of my body. And so when I think back to like the most pivotal life-changing moment in my life, it's definitely that one.
I love that. So many beautiful points for us to dig into. I just want to say, I love how you connect the spirituality with the body because I'm also a spiritual healer. And, a lot of times when you get into that world, everyone just wants to be in their spiritual self all the time. But there's a reason we're here on earth in physical form, right? The real journey is balancing the spiritual and the physical. And so I talk about this all the time. So I totally love that you went there, and I can't wait to dig into that with you. But first, I'd love to hear from Laura Mack. So, Laura, same question for you, really. What is a pivotal moment in your journey, either as a woman or becoming an entrepreneur, that you feel really carved out, this amazing woman we're chatting with right now?
Well, thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be here and on this panel. And one of my pivotal moments that really stands out, which I feel like I've had a couple of these significant chapters of life, so to speak. But one of them would be as I was getting to retire from fitness. So I competed professionally in fitness in the IFBB and got to compete all around the world. And I was coming off of collegiate gymnastics, and that was very competitive growing up. And then I said I was not going to compete anymore, and then naturally I fell into fitness, and so then I competed there for a long time. And so I knew that there was going to be an end because so much wear and tear on your body, and I knew I needed an avenue to transition into afterwards. So my plan was to go out on top and to be able to transition into something else, and that something else turned out to be a fitness wear clothing line for women. And it was perfect timing because I started it in 2002, which is right when I was finishing competing. I had finished in 2003. So this was when magazines were popular. And so I was able to do a lot of marketing with the magazines and say, hey, what colors for your photo shoot do you need? Pink and yellow, got it. Turquoise and green, got it. Like I had a very colorful, very vibrant clothing line, which was kind of new as far as there weren't a lot of clothing lines out of that. And I knew that that was something that was a passion that I just loved being able to do, along with fitness and coaching along that way. So I've always had this fitness thread, but my competitive career transitioned into this fitness clothing line, and then that continued for a decade. And I know that was a very pivotal point for me as far as changing and transitioning from professional athlete, taking that hat off and then putting on this entrepreneur hat, where I've worked with clients for a long time and I had a personal training business, and that was fun, and I knew I needed to add something else into my mix of passion and joy and being able to spread that to others and to see how that affects their lives. And so I was able to do that. That was also a time coming off of this highly competitive lifestyle that I've led for a long time, where I was first introduced to yoga. And my whole impression of yoga at that time was like, oh, how can you be excited and motivated all day long if you start your day with yoga? And it's just like, you're just kind of relaxing and you're doing the shavasana. See, clearly I had no idea what yoga was about. I was not connected into it. But I'll tell you what, after my first class, I loved it. I thought it was the first time I have experienced being in a movement place where I didn't feel competitive. I felt that I could be fully present on my mat. I could do as much as I wanted to do to challenge myself, or those days where, oh, sometimes I'm not feeling so strong, or sometimes I just need a child's pose. And whatever that was, it was okay. Like, what? That was such a new concept where you didn't have to like forge ahead, go stronger, go harder, be the best. It was just be you today and where you are. Meet yourself at the mat today where you really need to. And so that was definitely a pivotal point for me as far as physical activity and working with clients and meeting them at this place too. So it's been a wonderful journey with a lot of chapters involved.
I love it. And I'm certain Cassandra wants to hop in here because I know she's a fellow yogi and competitor. So we have so much. I think you two are new besties. But we'll dig in. But what I love is, when we were laughing along with you about what you thought yoga was, because I'm very much a jump out of bed and get going person. And then when I changed to like meditate and pray in the morning, and lately I've had a lot of balls in the air, so I got back to the jump out in bed and go, but then my energy peaks at a certain time. And so it is counterintuitive, but when you start with that slow morning, like reflective morning, doing the rituals, doing the things, it's such a more sustainable energy. And I mean, everything about me, like my extroversion, I'm a 9 quick start on the Colby, is like burst of energy. And so what helped me was putting those practices in to slow me down to make the energy more sustainable. So I'd love to hear from both of you, because I know a lot of my clients are 35 plus, and let's be honest, we're not 22 willing to be working on our website at 2 a.m. in the morning, right? Like the hustle and grind is gone. Most people want to spend the evening with their kids or quiet, or, by 4 o'clock, we're like, I'm baked and done. Maybe I want to go for a walk or a workout. So let's jump in there. What tips do you have for our listeners who, I'm 48 now. It's a lot different than when I was 28, right? And so energy struggle is real, no matter how energetic you are. So I'd love to start there and really hear like how you work with your clients and what you recommend as like first steps to start recognizing and remedying this.
I believe that having a beautifully energetic day starts with the night before, right? And so it's really having that evening routine. And I know evening routine can sound elaborate and intimidating and that you just don't have time for it. And so what I try to walk women through is creating an evening routine in a best case scenario and a worst case scenario. Your worst case scenario could be just simply making sure you get 8 hours of sleep and sacrificing everything else. Your worst case scenario could be journaling for 5 minutes to let the day go. It could be snuggling with your partner or your pet. I mean, it could be any number of things, but it starts with the night before. But then waking up in the morning, I think you hit the nail on the head, April, by saying those slow mornings, giving yourself that time in the morning really does give you sustainable energy all day long. And so it's a similar idea of starting your day with creating first your best case scenario and your worst case scenario, or what I call your struggle scenarios, but creating those scenarios so that depending on how much time and energy you have when you get up, you know kind of what options you have available for you. It could be everything from what you discussed, meditating and praying in the morning. I love taking a sunrise walk. I take a 30-minute walk every morning, and it's a sunrise walk, but it's still dark outside. So I talk to the moon and I talk to the stars and I talk to my guides, and we're planning my day. And it's a beautiful reset before I go in, come back into the house and make breakfast for the kids and all of the things. But it's finding things that make you feel good, not things that you're told to do. It's finding things that truly feel good to your soul, and it's consuming energy. Actually, when you're doing those, when I take my walk or when you are meditating, you're kind of consuming energy in that way to fuel yourself for the rest of your day. And so I think it's just a matter of finding what feels good to you, but it really does. I can't stress this enough. Start with the night before. Don't stay up till 2 a.m. if you're expecting to have a super, ambitious day the next day, for sure.
I love that point, and I always say, and we have two former competitors here, and I'm sure you compete in some ways now. Like, the best athletes in the world get paid to rest. So I don't understand when we're entrepreneurs that we don't realize we get paid to rest as well. If you want to be the best or top of your game or be the best leader or show up for your clients, the rest is critical. And I love, love, love this best versus worst case scenario because I always talk about pivoting. I'm a calendar time nerd, and I'm like, the more structured it is, the more you can pivot. If you do wake up a little bit late because you need to squeeze in extra hours, if you have a scheduled day, it's easier to pivot your day. Most people think you're boxed in, but I find structure gives you freedom. So I love, Laura, do you have anything to add to that conversation and the energy?
Yes, as far as starting my day, I also add in the prayer and some meditation just to get it going. And even before I get out of the bed, as I hit my snooze, because I do hit a snooze, but this is what I do during my snooze.
Me too.
I don't roll over. But, I come up with my intentions for the day, some grateful thoughts for the day, and then some prayers for my family. So this is where I'm generating my energy, I'm generating my intention, and I'm just generating that thankful heart for what's to come today. And it gives me that sense of peace. So once that second alarm goes off, then I'm like, okay, it's time to go. And I've already set this intention. So whether I'm a little sleepier one day or if I do feel more energized, then I still have that intention for the day. And that helps get me through that day. This is my intention for today. This is how I'm going to get through it. It might be a little sleepy or sluggish, but hey, know what? This is how I choose to create today. And it really has been helpful, especially as we go through life's challenges, as we get older, caring for kids, caring for parents, going through life's transitions. That has been something that has been such a helpful tool in navigating through the day.
I love that. And I think, the use of the term intention is so key. Just like planning the night before is your intention. And I think when we think about the best and worst case scenario, that's giving yourself grace. So if you go about your day with intention and purpose, but you can also laugh at yourself and give yourself grace. I mean, unfortunately, I was up way too late last night because yesterday at 2:00, I was like, I have to have a cup of coffee. I'd been out of town. I'd been out of my routine. And so yesterday was just, I never have coffee in the afternoon, and then stupidly it messed up last night, which messed up this morning, right? So it's so true, but I'm just like, okay, you're going to be a little dragging today, April. Let's go to bed early tonight. Let's get going. So, Cassandra, I see you shaking your head. Hop in here.
Well, I was going to say that caffeine in the afternoon, it sounds so attractive. Like all you want sometimes is just a cup of coffee, but the half-life on that caffeine is a game changer, right? It will kill your whole evening trying to rest. And so, yeah, I encourage women to stay away from caffeine after that first. I mean, you can go until, maybe 12 if you really need to, but I think that's a sign for us to pay attention to as opposed to a sign to indulge in, right? Like if I still feel the need, there's probably something to explore there in terms of your energy levels and other natural, things you could be doing to be more consistent with your energy.
Yeah, I love it. And also, it came up when you were talking about the child pose, right? I think that was Laura Mack. That's really honoring our feminine energy of resting and receiving and taking us out of that hustle and grind. So I feel like you two verge on this as well. So
Yeah, coming out of that hustle and grind, sometimes you need to do that just to recharge your batteries and to give yourself, whether it's a child's pose for a few moments or changing your environment to change your energy, like stepping outside for your walk. Like I know, Cassandra, you do it in the morning. Sometimes that mid-afternoon walk can be better than a cup of coffee. For where I am up in Seattle, it's brisk out here, so that change of the air is like whoosh, and kind of vibrating, it gives you a little bit more energy because it's waking you up. And so changing up your routine to change your energy is another way to do it instead of relying on an occasional caffeine in the afternoon for that quick hit.
I do my yoga in the afternoon as my break. I do a quick 30 to 45 minutes before I hop in the car to get my kids from school. But that's what I do to break up the monotony of the day and get that recharge. So, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And stretching out. So I used to do all my prayer meditation in the morning, and now I do it quicker like you. And then I get into the day. And then I take time at lunch, and then I take time at the very end of the day before I go into my evening. And so giving myself this hour where I actually like intentionally eat, because I'm being careful with my nutrition. I go for a walk, I do another prayer. Like it's like this gift in the middle of the day, and your energy just flows so much better.
Absolutely. And talking about having that routine in the evening, winding down with some foam rolling is another way to be intentional about your evening, because what that does is it actually increases blood flow and circulation, which helps relax the body, and you're connecting with the foam roller as it's releasing and lengthening out. So that's another way to get a boost of energy, so to speak, but it's a great way to wind down in the evening as well. So
Not enough people talk about foam rolling. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yes.
I'm really just now starting to truly, truly appreciate the magic of fascia and and foam rolling and paying attention to what they say is now not our skin, but our fascia, the largest organ in our body, and tending to it. And so I'm glad you brought that up. I'm still in student mode. I'm still learning more and appreciating that. But I love that you brought that up.
thank you. Yeah, and it's interesting. People think about just, oh, I'll foam roll on my back or my neck, but there's different things that you can do for your shoulders and legs and quads and calves. You can work your whole body on a foam roller, and what's beautiful about it is it doesn't take a lot of time. About 90 seconds, you can kind of go in and out of a pose, find a sticky spot, stay with it. That's okay.
So, Laura, I was going to ask, if we go to your website, do you have anything about foam rolling? Because I already wrote your tip down, because I'm in for this. I used to do it in the gym, but I like, because I
Yeah.
have an acupressure mat I like to do at night too that I haven't been doing. I
Yeah.
put my legs at like 90-degree angle with my back on that. And I sometimes fall asleep like that. Like it's so relaxing. It's crazy. But I want to add the foam rolling first and then get back to that routine. So I love it. So if you can
Absolutely.
point us in a direction of where we can look this up, it'd be great.
Sure. You can check it out at lauramacfitlife.com. And then if you actually want to try some series or some coaching with it, you can check out the yogafitlife.com, which that has all of our classes. So we have our yoga classes, we have our strength training, and we have foam rolling. So it's divided up by body parts, so you can understand, oh, okay, I want to get my shoulder, or I need to get my lats or my neck, my quads. So it's kind of divided up, and it's a great way to just follow along. And I do a really specific job as like, okay, this is where you should be feeling it, and these are the points that you need to connect with on the ground. And it's a real nice way to learn and yet feel real connected between your foam roller and getting that fascia loosened and lengthened.
Love it. Love it. All right, Cassandra, hop in. What hot tip do you have for us like that? Or just
Sure.
topic you want to chat about?
Well, it's really interesting because I know I'm a big believer in things like yoga and foam rolling and having these different modalities for us to bring energy and flow and peace to our lives. One of my biggest, I guess, passion is the alchemy of the mundane. So I talk a lot about the alchemy of self-care and the alchemy of food even. And I like to bring that to our attention because these are usually things we're doing all day, every day, anyways, right? Like we eat anyways. And when we begin to appreciate the alchemy of food and the energy transfer of food, I think it brings a whole new lens to a behavior that we really take for granted. And as busy women who have a million things to do, we're going to eat anyways. It's gonna happen. The question is, what do we eat? And do we do so with the word, Laura, you used earlier, do we do so with intention? And when we do so with intention, it does absolutely not just improve our energy, but our quality of life. And so when I coach women to, when you approach food and when you approach decision making about your food, don't stress out anymore over macros, the calories, the carbs, the fats, the proteins. Look at that food and make an assessment of what kind of energy is this going to transfer into you. Is it going to transfer? Is it green? Has it ever seen the light of day before? If it's seen the light of day before, then it means it's been affected by sun, source, the greatest
Yes.
energy that we have in our universe, right? And so, you eat a salad, not because you're on a diet and you're trying to lose weight and you just want to, get through the day. You eat a salad because it's full of greens that have absorbed sun energy, and those greens absorb 100% sun energy. That's what photosynthesis is. They get 100%. When we eat that salad, we get about 10%, and we become that energy. Like, it's literally an energy transfer of food. And so when I look at food, I'm making my decisions in these rushed moments about what to eat. It's not whether or not that's going to make me fat. It's not whether or not that's going to hit my macros. It's what kind of energy am I transferring to my body, and is it going to serve me for what I have to do after this? And I think putting those glasses on or putting that lens on really it's transformational in your relationship with food and your energy levels.
I love that you're sharing this because so many women have disconnected from food and need to repair the relationship. I agree. And in my spiritual practice, so I bless the food, which is really
Yes.
clearing the energy because it also has absorbed negative energy on its journey, right? Especially if you eat out and someone's preparing that food and they're not in a good mood, like you might transfer that energy. So many people don't understand like the science of energy. I know that sounds like an oxymoron, but actually like, clearing it through a blessing and then being grateful for it, and it brings it back closer to its original source of what you're talking about, the energy it's meant to bring and the fuel it's meant to bring to our body. And yeah, I love that. I think just like pausing, and that's why I put breakfast and lunch on my calendar, because usually I was too, dinner's fine, I'm done working by then, but breakfast and lunch was like a second thought. And I was like,
Yeah.
this isn't healthy. And thank goodness I had a wellness coach who was like, I don't care, put 30 minutes on your calendar and do not violate it. So now lunch is extended to an hour and I've added those other habits. But it's
Good
really
for you.
beautiful. Like start small and then it feels good and you go bigger. So
Yeah, I just would love to add, I love the intention of sitting down and blessing food, but also being there fully present in the moment and have mindful eating. And so appreciating the bite, the texture. Is it crunchy or juicy? Is it sweet or sour? Like the taste of it. And do you hear it crunch in your mouth? Getting as many sensations in to your meal as you can with your food so you're fully present and really enjoying it. Like you say with the salad, is it a salad or it's a salad? I've got crunchy carrots and juicy red peppers, and I've got these sprouts, these living sprouts, and this romaine that, like that is like really good food for you, really good real energy that's made in nature that's going to fuel your body and give you this conductivity of energy. And it's really important to be present when you're eating so you can really appreciate all of that and soak that all into your body.
Well said. Absolutely. Absolutely. And another little tip I like to throw in there with the presence, I love how you said have that full experience. And one of the things that I have to be so intentional about is not wolfing down my food, because when I'm hungry, I am so hungry. And so just counting my bites, I try to chew at least like 15 times for anything that I put in my mouth. And that might sound little and not like a big deal, but it's kind of a big deal, not just for the presence of the food and enjoying the food and everything you mentioned about the textures and what you're experiencing in your mouth, but also just for digestion. Like the food gets broken up right here. We don't have teeth all down here. And so if we swallow wholer pieces of food, I mean, that does some gastro things, right? None of us want to experience. And so just being present and really making a point, chew your food 15 times before you swallow and see how that changes your experience.
Yeah.
I also like to add, when thinking about your foods and your meals, this is a fun little game that you can play, is trying to eat 30 different foods a week. Because what happens is a lot of times we get into our rut of like, okay, well, Mondays we have chicken, rice, and veggies. Tuesdays we have tacos. Wednesdays, you kind of get into your routine of things. But if you can think about having 30 different real foods, so nature made, so fruits, veggies, what are different things that you can incorporate, and this isn't 7 days, and you've got 3 meals a day, you can even count a snack, so can you get to 30 different food items? Because going back to your gut health, that's a great way to help improve your gut health, by having that variety of foods into your body, and your body gets that more energy. It makes it a little bit more fun, so you're not getting bored of the same things. Oh, this is our regular meal on Tuesday. And it's just something that you can think about. I do that with my clients, and they're like, wow, I'm only at 15. I'm like, well, what are the next 15 going to be? Or let's add 5 more this week, okay? And then as we get used to doing that, then you can add up a little bit more and more, and increasing your variety of foods.
Yeah, it's fun and it makes it an adventure. I first went gluten and dairy free in 2013 because I had an autoimmune condition. And I remember going to the grocery store, and I was training to hike the Grand Canyon at the same time, like rim to rim. So I needed food to fuel myself, but I cut out the majority of what I ate. So I would go to the grocery and be like, okay, it's an adventure. What can I eat? Like, I didn't focus on what I couldn't eat. And so you're adding that fun and that adventure in, and we take ourselves so seriously. And I feel like food and body image becomes so emotional for so many women that, like, adding that relationship and that fun back in, I love these tips. It's amazing. So one thing I hear a lot from my friends, my clients, other women I know, is like they do great during the day and then the train goes off the tracks at night because probably they have no emotional energy left, a lot of what we're talking about, right? And for whatever reason, the cravings kick in after dinner. So do you all have any tips along those lines to help with cravings and continue not being super strict, but being intentional about how you eat at night?
Yeah, I would say, check and see, are you really hungry, or are you into this routine and there's kind of boredom in there, and you're just used to doing the same thing? Like on Tuesdays, we have a glass of wine, and on Wednesdays, I have popcorn and something. So being more intentional with it. And if you're going to have a snack, pick a food that is as clean as possible. Like if you're going to have chocolate, pick one that has 70% cacao, and that it's with the fewest amounts of ingredients in it, because actually dark chocolate can be a really good thing. And so having a couple squares of that, yeah, go ahead and enjoy that. Making a fancy mocktail can give you a nice way to sip on something, and put some fresh mint, maybe rosemary, in a sparkling water, and do something to make it more not ceremonial, but just more exciting, let's say, instead of just sitting down with your water bottle and, okay, I'm trying to pretend like I'm full, and different than a glass of wine, but still something fancy, so you can kind of feel good and just relax with that.
Yeah.
Love it.
And I always say that if you've got cravings in the evening, and it's usually for sweets, let's just say, well, you've got that
Yeah.
sweet tooth craving in the evening. I find it's usually because you've not eaten a carb since I don't know how long, and that's just not going to be sustainable. And I'm not here to have a conversation or speak down about being not eating carbs, but what I will say is that our body, it's a natural ingredient that our body's expecting to receive at some point. And I'm talking about, fruits. I'm talking about sweet potatoes. I'm talking about, natural carbs. If you're not eating those during the day, your body's still going to have that craving, and it's really hard, as we all have experienced, to keep going in the evening without that. And so we end up making, rash decisions to fill that very carnal need that our body has for carbohydrates. And so I say, pay attention to that. Just, when was the last time you had some carbs? Find some that feel good for you and not scary to eat. And then also the best thing to do if you realize you have these cravings all the time, though, is to plan for them. It's going to happen, and not let it pretend like it's taking us by surprise. Like, oh, I'm craving carbs. We know this is going to happen. And so going back to Laura's work, being intentional. We are amazing strategic planners when it comes to our family and our kids' events. We are amazing strategic planners when it comes to our business and work. We get it done. And so we shouldn't be caught off guard by these cravings, right? We can strategically plan for ourselves and our well-being if we're willing to look at it. But we have to be willing to look at it. So I say just develop a curiosity around these things that you see happening on a consistent basis. And you can journal about it. You can work with a coach on it. You could even ask ChatGPT about it, these days. But develop a curiosity about it. And I think that if you take a genuine interest in kind of figuring out why do I have these cravings and what can I do about it, you'll find answers. It's just, do we often ask ourselves that question?
I love it. A couple of quick points I want to make. First of all, cacao has changed my life. Let me just say, I've never had a sweet tooth my whole life. I'm very odd, even as a child. But I started adding it intentionally to my coffee with protein powder in the morning, the second cup, to get extra protein in. Oh my gosh, it's like a chocolate milkshake, and I don't even like chocolate milkshakes, and I love it. It's like a coffee milkshake.
So good. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that is a lovely way to have it, for sure.
Yeah, so I think that's why I snuck in the extra coffee yesterday. It was actually the cacao, and I should have just had the protein powder and cacao and left the coffee out, so to be honest. But I love that. And I love your point, Cassandra. This is why you want to be open-minded and curious, like you said. First of all, you both have beautiful, fun, practical tips. I love that because women have enough on their plate, right? Yeah. Like you said, we don't have time for this. But I like how you mentioned carbs because, I was getting these weird cravings at night, like just a bite of this, bite of this, bite of this after dinner. I was like, what the heck's going on? It's like my taste buds are going crazy. They've gone away, and I thought it was because I was eating more protein, but actually my wellness coach had me add carbs back into my diet. So it's probably a combo of like getting enough of everything throughout the day. So by night, it's like, okay, you have to eat dinner by dinner time now. Like I almost force myself to eat dinner. Like I'm not even hungry at night. So I love like y'all just sharing these, and I just want to encourage everyone, go check out their sites, their blogs, their books, and stay open-minded. Even if you're working with a coach in a program, like trust your intuition. Your intuition tells you what's right for you. And so even if you're working in a program and you hear a tip, you could be like, aha, that's why that's working, which I think is so important for us to like understand on an experiential level. Like it's not a mental level. It's like I'm doing this and it works for me.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. And everybody is a little bit different. We're not all created the same. So what works for one person might not work for the other. And like you said, going back, trusting your intuition of like, this is how I fuel my body. I don't need to know. I don't need to worry about the latest trend on TikTok or Instagram. I just need to come back in here to me because there's always going to be some new thing of what to do, but really coming back into getting back to nature-made foods and to listening to your body, getting that good rest, getting your strength training. Yeah, we know what to do. It's, planning strategically, putting it together, putting it in action.
Yeah, and everything that Laura just mentioned, actually, when during the intro you had alluded to having some curiosity about what it meant about the traditional wellness practices for modern women. Laura just named them all. Rest, water, good food, movement, the things that we know how to do. These aren't mysteries, right? But we, for some reason, feel like it's not enough. And I'm here to say that it's more than enough.
Well, and sunshine and fresh air, especially in the wintertime, I think, we forget about these things. It's so important. I love it, ladies. Well, as all of our listeners can tell, you are both a wealth of wisdom and knowledge. So I want to take a moment. Please redirect us to your books, your blogs, where our audience can find you. And as I mentioned before, everything will be in the show notes. And if you have not subscribed to our podcast, go to vixengathering.com/podcast, hit subscribe, and all of these amazing resources show up in your inbox. So, Cassandra, I'll start with you. So I think you have 2 blogs and a book coming out, right? So if we're curious, let us know how we can get our hands on that.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, everything can be found on oriara.com. That's ORIARA. I recommend starting with the Body Ministry blog. It's 9 pillars of wellness that'll help you find your home base for self care. That blog has been turned into my book, the Body Ministry book. It's a self care guide for women starting their health and fitness journey. So if you're thinking about starting a health and fitness journey, whether you're working with a coach, you sign up for a boot camp, you've got a nutritionist already, that is awesome. This is a companion guide to go alongside it so that you can do the internal work that supports the external transformation. Because we all know it's not about the workouts. It's about our worthiness. It's about our discipline. It's about our trust in ourselves. And that's what this companion guide walks you through. And then finally, I've got Holistic Hustle, and it's a newsletter that is meant for women in corporate who are wanting to balance their ambition with their wellness. So all of that can be found on oriara.com.
Love it. And Laura?
Yeah, so you can find, I actually have a self-care toolkit. It's just a freebie if you want to check it out, because I feel like if you already have a toolbox in place, ready to go, then when life's challenges come at you and you're not expecting it, you've already got some tools that you're practicing or something that you can really reach to help get you through that challenging time. So you can find that at lauramacfitlife.com, and it's MAK for Mac. And if you're interested in yoga and strength training workouts that you can do at home at your own time, including foam rolling, you can find that at theyogafitlife.com. And if it's okay, I'd like to just finish with a couple sentences from my book, Become Empowered. And it's just finishing this chapter of the book. It's a graceful dance, an attunement to my body's whispers, a tribute to its needs, a celebration of progress. I didn't combat my health issues, but embraced them with love, understanding, and a touch of playful curiosity. This journey stands as a testament to the power of exploring unconventional paths, becoming advocates for our well-being, and embracing diverse approaches to healing. It's been a remarkable odyssey painted with hues of pain, love, hope, and the sweet victory of self-discovery. This narrative aims to reach the hearts of those navigating similar challenges, offering a beacon of hope and a resilient melody that resonates through the darkest moments, urging the spirit to keep dancing through life's rhythms. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. So, Laura, as you wrap that up, I'll go to you first. I always like to ask, because what I help women do a lot is step back into their feminine essence so they can balance the feminine and masculine. And then relationships get better, their health gets better, their business gets better. It's amazing how all these things happen. So I love to ask, when do you feel in that feminine flow or energy? Like, when does that happen for you?
I would say I connect a lot when I'm moving and movement, whether it's dance or yoga or even just walking outside. I feel strongest in my body, and when I feel strong, then I feel feminine as well. And sometimes those don't always go together, but I think because of my background and because of the gymnastics and the dance and then the fitness competing, I have always felt strong and confident when I feel movement throughout my body. Yeah. So that is when I'm feeling my best, is when I'm moving and very feminine. And
I love it. Movement is important for the feminine energy, and a lot of women forget that. So, Cassandra, how about you? Same question.
I would have said movement, but since that one's already on the table, I'll probably say in nurturing anything, myself, my plants, my family. And I think of nurturing in terms of saying words of, kindness and love and affirmation, nurturing foods, like we talked about earlier, praying over foods, praying over people. I'm a very heart-centered, heart chakra kind of woman. And so anytime I give her space to be, to live, to pour into others, that's when I feel my most feminine.
I love it, and it's so funny because I'm the same. And then when people are talking to me from the mental capacity, they're like, when you, and I'm like, no, it's like a foreign land. I'm just like, yes, I lived there once, but I left. It's like, it's so interesting. I'm like, no, I don't really understand, but I love hearing it because I need to understand so I can help my clients as well, right? Like, guide them out of the land. So, Cassandra, I'll start with you. What color is your feminine essence?
I was going to cut you off before you even finish, but I let you finish. Green. It's green. 100% green. Heart chakra. Like, I can't It just is.
I see it. I love it. And Laura Mack, how about you?
Pink all the
I
way.
knew it.
It's a giveaway. Yeah.
I love it so much. Thank you both for our beautiful conversation today. Laura read a couple sentences from her book, and I know we are almost at time. I want to ask Cassandra that if it's okay with you, Laura Mack, I'm going to treat that as your parting message because it was so beautiful and amazing. And Cassandra, what are your parting words for our audience? Any words of wisdom or anything you feel compelled to share?
I will share this, and this is my favorite quote that is of my own, and it's that when you have a calling on your life, you must protect it with your health. And we all have a calling, whether it's a wife, a mother, a pet mom, a sister, a best friend, an entrepreneur, a boss, whatever your calling is. No one's asking you to be a martyr for that. We need you to live and live well. We're all willing to die for our kids, die for our business, die for our family, but will you live healthy for it?
I love it. Thank you so much for that. And for all of our listeners, you know that I always say the world needs more love. So one way you can go forth in love is have an amazing conversation like we did today. Just find amazing women full of energy and taking care of themselves and surround yourself with those women so that it becomes normal and natural for you. And don't hesitate to give yourself grace. Look, we all go through a journey. We all have our moments. The more we can learn to honor those moments, laugh at them, laugh at ourselves, and have fun again. I love how both Cassandra and Laura Mack had adventurous suggestions for you. Like, let's put the fun and adventure back in our life. And when you do that and love yourself, the love spreads. So let's go forward this week, love each other, and find other loving women to surround ourselves with. Thank you, ladies. This was such an amazing, beautiful conversation. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thanks to you, we are now a top 3% global podcast. And that is 100% because of you amazing women listening week after week, tuning in to hear our amazing guests. So thank you to all of our amazing guests, all of our listeners, and to my awesome podcast producer, Haley. And I will chat with you all soon. Have a great day. Thanks again for listening to the podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to hit subscribe so future episodes are automatically downloaded directly to your device. And if you want access to today's show notes, including links to all the resources we mentioned, visit vixengathering.com/podcast. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you next week for another episode of The Vixen Voice.